I can't believe you're saying I'm the next Coppola. That's what my mom. My mother. She watches every single edit. She's a lawyer. She's not a filmmaker.
Okay.
And usually I'd think she would say, I'd like her to say those things, but she doesn't. She usually says boring, doesn't work. I don't like it. And then at the premiere she'll cry. So that's nice. And that's then I feel like what you're saying. I feel like I've done something great. But that's usually a momentary feeling that comes and goes.
It's called tough love, Lance.
Well, hey, this is
there's a carrot,
yes,
and there's a stick. Sometimes you get the carrot. Sometimes you gotta get the stick, and then you get the carrot. You're getting your carrots now, starting June 2nd. You're like Bugs Bunny didn't have as many carrots as you're about to get.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of Looney Tunes in there. To the discerning viewers.
That was, yeah. I want to say this seriously. Ren Faire is truly one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Wow.
It is, and I've seen like 5 things.
Yeah, I was going to say, you must not be watching enough.
I've seen Moana.
Pornography. You watched some of that?
I saw some pornography once. Then my pastor came in, and it was not good. I did see an episode of Wings once. I fell asleep. And Ren Faire.
Wow.
No, seriously. It is. You took a thing. Everybody knows Renaissance festivals. I've been to Renaissance festivals. Did you go to Renaissance? How did this Renaissance festival in Texas get on your radar?
Well, so I'm from Florida. I didn't grow up going to Renaissance festivals. I'd never been to one, actually, until I went to the one in Texas.
Okay.
There was a reporter named David Herbert. He writes these like amazing long form, Esquire type articles. And I'd befriended him, and we were trying to figure out something to do together. And he had a researcher named Abigail Rowe who kind of, at his behest was find me a story in a Renaissance fair. She found this character, this real guy named George. And George was a self-made king, as someone calls him in the show. He is a guy who created the largest Renaissance festival, which happens to be in Texas.
Yes.
Became so big, he created a city around the fair, became the mayor of the city, has his own police force, has like thousands of people who have been working for him. He created a castle, which he calls Stargate Manor. And this has been the case. He plays Enya on, this one Enya song on loop. He's been playing it every day for over 10 years from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. And he's been doing this whole thing for almost 50 years. So the story, when they came to me with it, was here's this person, what happens to this business? And to me, that was always the thing I found interesting about this. I wanted to make something, kind of about, it's almost about power, right? It's about what it does to you when you have it. It's about what it does to you when you don't, but you want it. And then it's also about this enclave, this universe where you see a person running with absolute power, unchecked, and now he's kind of close to the end of his life.
And he's basically saying in this thing, I'm 85 years old, and I'm gonna live for 6 more years. So is that about what it is?
Well, yeah, it's like the 9-year plan. It's been 9-year plan. It's been that for more than 15 years. So
but he had this plan. He wants to find love, and he's on dating apps, right?
Yes.
And he's flying in young women, like in their 20s, like to hang out with this guy in his mid-80s. It's troubling.
Well, look, this is kind of, I guess, what happens to someone who controls everything and everybody in his life. He's looking for some danger. He's looking for something he can control, but also could surprise him, because every person in his life is basically begging him for something. That's what the story goes,
He's keeping, this guy's the king, literally. They call him King George. And he is running this thing. People want to be the successor. And people are fighting over who gets to be the next in line. And it seems like he's enjoying every second of it, even if he's mad at things. He's still, that power is coursing through this guy, watching people just completely subjugate themselves to make him happy. It's just, what is it like to be, because you're filming this thing, right? How long was the filming process for this?
It was like almost 3.5 years. Okay. 100 days of shooting.
So what is it like when you're in the room filming a scene and it's the most uncomfortable thing you've ever experienced is happening in front of you, and you're kind of just trying to be just wallpaper?
Well, it's an interesting combination of things, because you'll see in the series there's different modes of the filmmaking. There's a very collaborative mode that kind of is, unfurls from the people we're with, from the general manager, who's an actor, right? Mm-hmm. You see him in the trailer briefly. But then there are moments like you're suggesting where we're just there and we're witnessing things, and it's a strange thing. Having made documentaries, it's at times some of the worst things that can happen to one of the people that you love, that you're filming, that you're following for so long. It ultimately it could lead to conflict, and so in a way, you both are experiencing pain for those people, but you're also, the back of your mind, you're thinking this could be good cinema. And then the question then becomes, how can I document this in a way that's hopefully sensitive to their experience? Mm-hmm. But how do I express that in cinematic terms? And that's what I think, the movies I grew up loving, a lot of the great documentaries I grew up loving too, like, On the Bowery, and, you look at Alan King's movies, like these are guys back in the day in the 60s, the 70s, there used to be a lot more sentiments, of how do I express an idea through cinema instead of just talking heads and, retrospective storytelling and stuff. Yeah. And I got to work with some great people. I got to work with the great Ronald Bronstein of Frownland fame, of the Tom Scharpling Best Show fame. That would be. There we go.
I think you might put other things in front of his association with the Best Show on Ronnie's credit list. I would put maybe co-writer of Uncut Gems and Good Time, director and writer of Frownland.
Yes.
And then he was a producer on this?
He was a producer. He worked with Max Allman and Nicholas Nasmi, my editors, and I. And he kind of rolled up his sleeves, gave us a lot of his time and his spirit as we worked through this thing for years, really.
Yeah, because you're working for years on this thing, and it helps, I'm sure, to have these fresh eyes join the process at some stage down the line, because you're so deep in this thing. When do you feel like you're too deep in a thing like this?
I mean, I think it's good to be too deep. I think eventually there are times where you start just thinking the only words, associations that come to your mind are things that people have said and you've seen them say hundreds of times. But I spent more time in Texas than I did in New York, where I was living while I was working on this thing. And I think hopefully you'll be able to feel it in the filmmaking. It's like every decision, every sound choice, every image. There's a lot of thought. Every Wilhelm scream has been carefully applied with some operating. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It felt like playing Operation sometimes. But being around George, to me, that guy, he always reminded me of the little kid in the Twilight Zone episode, It's a Good Life. Okay. Also in the ill-fated Twilight Zone movie. Yes. Which was, that sketch, not sketch, but that segment was retold a little bit. But he is a guy who is he's frozen, kind of. He's still a child.
Yeah.
Acts like one, but he's 86, and he controls all these people. All these people want to take care of this business that is very successful, makes millions, $15 million in 8 weekends, and his head's in the clouds. He's on the dating sites, and he's trying to find a companion.
Yeah, the Ren Faire part of Ren Faire for him seems. It's just this thing that's running now at this point. He tries to add these new wrinkles and ideas and things, like where he's these catalogs. He's like, I want this and
gotta get the doll magazine out. Yeah. Do you relate? Do you relate to him at all?
No, I don't.
Why not?
I don't know, but I'm glad I don't.